women went into the workforce. And that's when convenience food came in. That's when the ultra-processed food market boomed, because there's no one at home cooking home-cooked meals anymore. I feel so grateful we've moved away from calorie counting and restriction, and we're now talking about plentiful, joyful nutrition. So even World War rationing times, we were eating more fibre than we are now.
Today on the Good Food Podcast, I am joined by registered nutritionist, best-selling author, and Rhitrition founder Rhiannon Lambert, known for cutting through the noise of the wellness world with clear, evidence-based advice. Rhiannon has helped thousands of people build a healthier relationship with food. Her latest work shines a spotlight on one of the most overlooked nutrients in our diets, fibre. She joins us to explain why this matters more than you might think, how to eat more of it without overhauling your life, and the nutrition myths she'd most like to bust. Well, Rhiannon, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to start by asking you what you had for dinner last night.
Oh, it always makes you think, doesn't it? And what did I have last night? I made an orzo last night.
Ooh, nice.
And I always try and mix up the base. Fennel, leek, onion, because my kids have to eat this too, so I have to blitz it really small.
Yeah.
So I blitz the base, bit of olive oil, chuck in the orzo, butter beans, actually put a bit of plant-based bacon, controversial, in the orzo, and my kids loved it.
Like bacon?
Yeah, and I know that nutritionally speaking, it's very divisive, but it adds a flavour, and I don't eat red meat. So for me, that's like an option that my husband will eat, my kids will eat, and I can eat it.
Yeah, you're right about the divisiveness. I feel like the plant-based alternatives that are kind of there to look or feel like something else kind of are dividing people.
Well, they are, because I don't think that people that are actually vegan want to mimic replacement. And we do need to eat more whole foods, but for people like my other half that I'm trying to reduce his meat intake, they're quite useful, but ultimately it's an ultra processed food, and that's something we do need to reduce as well. So I can see all sides of the meat mimic debate.
But when you get something like that, do you have a kind of take that maybe, I don't know, like 80-20, or it's fine if you're not doing it every day, or?
Oh gosh, 100%. I mean, ultra processed foods, it's down to education ultimately. And as long as the majority of your diet is whole foods, a little bit here and there is totally fine. To be honest, I don't think any of us can live an 100% ultra processed food free life anymore because of society, the way the food industry is built. So yeah, 80-20 is a nice way.
And even like, I think I'm right in saying, like, even things like olive oil, for example, is a processed food, even if it's not ultra processed.
Yeah, so there's a sliding scale, and it developed in Brazil by Carlos Monteiro. He's a scientist, and he created Nova, it's called, and it's a scale of 1 to 4. 4 being industrially processed foods, like the cake that sits there for months on the supermarket. But also in that category, you've got baked beans. They're totally fine, right? You've got some shop bought breads because they have preservatives in them to extend shelf life, and then you've got different level of categories. So minimally processed number 1 would be the olives you get from the plant. And then number 2, the next stage of processing is actually squeezing those and getting those into a bottle. It doesn't make them bad, but they're processed. So we can't just flippantly say, I won't eat that, it's processed. Because let's be honest, even putting beans in a can, it's processing.
And I guess it involves some level of processing, but then there's other as you go up the scale, it gets worse for you.
100%.
Presumably.
But equally, there's nuance here. And even adding vitamins and minerals or fortifying food, that can make foods ultra processed. I think my key concern at the moment as a nutritionist is the complete deficit of fibre in this country, which is why I wrote the fibre formula, because the more processed the food, in most cases, not all, they're stripped of fibre. And then we just are eating this highly palatable, mushy type substance, and we're not even chewing our food anymore.
I know, I'm probably guilty of that sometimes as well. Well, that is what I was going to move on to next, because obviously ultra processed foods are kind of a buzzword, but I feel like the thing that people are concentrating on now is fibre. So your new book, as you say, the fibre formula, what is that kind of why you wrote it, to kind of, that is like the next step, I suppose. Like, you can't take away all the ultra processed foods, but you can do something about them.
Exactly. And the problem with the ultra processed food conversation, I mean, I wrote a book last year called The Unprocessed Plate, And the research I conducted into that really, it's concerning, of course, because 70% of children in this country have diets predominantly ultra-processed, and we've got the highest number in Europe. Then moving on to adult consumption, around 60%. That's higher than every country in the world, bar America. So it's really bad if you think about the consumption overall. But what's then missing from the diet? It's the fibre, it's the whole foods. Now, the UK, I discovered alongside writing that book, we only have 4% of us that get enough. It's a dire stat, and we are the second lowest in the world, with Canada below us at 3%, America above us at 5%. And I thought, hang on a minute, this can't be right. So we started writing the fibre formula alongside the unprocessed plate. Before anyone was talking about fibre, let me tell you, I am as gobsmacked as you that I'm sat here discussing this book. I thought it would be a little bit of a passion project. I didn't know that trends were going to emerge on social media about it.
It is a very new thing. And I feel like, to be able to get a book out that quick shows you've not been doing, because books take a long time to get to this.
Well, we did move the deadline by 3 months when we discovered people were actually talking about it.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this might actually be really helpful. But in all honesty, it's become a huge passion project of mine. I've always used my career to try and have a voice for people that don't with nutrition. And I actually took fibre to Parliament a few weeks ago to try and speak to MPs there about the fact we do have a nutrition crisis. I know everyone's divided about ultra-processed foods, but can we just look at the nutrient that no one's getting enough of? That isn't just about bowel movements. It's about heart health, cancer risk. 50 to 60% of bowel cancers are preventable through diet alone. And that's now the leading cause of cancer in the US. And it's the highest in this country amongst younger generations. So there's so many parts of fibre, our brain health, our sugar levels, our diabetes risks, and the fact that only 4% of us hit the target. I couldn't ignore it.
Yeah, I can't believe it's only, And because I think you touched on it there, that the gut is that I feel like maybe because gut health is becoming, it's kind of mainstream now. I feel like it's no longer up and coming or a trend. And that, I guess, is where that's why fibre is kind of the next obvious thing that we're all going to be obsessed with, because it supports the gut.
Well, absolutely. So the food for the bugs that live in our gut, and you can describe those bugs as a pet you want to feed every day, or I don't know, or a garden that you plant different seeds and flowers grow. But those gut bugs create these amazing compounds called short-chain fatty acids. And science is now telling us that those play a role with our mood, the synthesis of vitamins. It helps our gut barrier stay really strong, so we don't get inflammation in our body. Our gut lining doesn't have little junctions and gaps letting toxins into our blood. So the fibre is the food that feeds our gut bugs to look after our gut health, which helps our mental health as well.
Yeah, because I think we do often think, like, even when I used to teach, we'd teach about fibre, but we would teach about it as being the vitamin that basically just helps you poo.
The bowel movements. And that is true. So there's a study by YouGov, actually Warburton's conducted it a few weeks ago, that said that 80% of consumers thought that fibre was just about poo, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your bowel movements. And of course it is, but that's why it's such a hard kind of message, I think, to market. We've seen a protein hype, which I think detracted from the key nutrient area. No one has a protein deficiency in this country. We are all getting enough. Yes, we need to be aware of it.
Sure.
But it was a huge craze. And in return, what's happened? We've got a crisis with fibre now, because we've turned away from the key area, the plants of our food, the indigestible part of the plant that nourishes our gut, which nourishes our health in every facet in our body.
And presumably, if to get more fibre in, does that mean things like keeping the skin on your vegetables? Or is that like an old school?
I just want people to eat their vegetables. Yeah. We go there first and then keep the skin on.
Because I'm feeling like then you're also reducing food waste.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you're a double.
It's a planetary plate diet, which is something that hasn't had enough media traction at all and is really difficult right now. I don't know why, but the climate of the world we live in, for some reason, it's still so hard to even hit 5 a day. A third of adults get it. And the fibre comes from those whole grains. It comes from beans. It comes from pulses. Vegetarian cooking with beans and pulses just isn't mainstream enough. It's still seen as a very niche camp. And I think in the UK, particularly, our chefs in kitchens, when I've gone in as a nutritionist, I'm not their number one fan. I'll reduce that soul now. But, I go in and, they build meals around a a bit of meat.
Yeah.
So there might just be like one stick of broccoli, a little garnish of vegetables, rather than it being the hero of the dish. And the fact that there's people online demonizing oats and demonizing fruit, it just does not help the healthy eating message. You've got carnivore diets raging everywhere, different camps of the internet, and most generations now go to social media for health advice before going to their doctor.
And the figures I've been reading about that is I get it wrong every time, but because it's not social in general, I think it's specifically TikTok.
Less than 2%.
Less than 2% is true.
Yeah, so less than 2% of nutrition information on TikTok is accurate.
Incredible.
From a study, I think MyFitnessPal funded in the Glasgow University or uni in Scotland, a year or two ago. Does not surprise me at all. Because the title nutritionist isn't protected. Anybody can call themselves one unless you choose, like myself, to voluntarily register. And again, it comes down to government and how far they'll go to protect the public from misinformation online. Yeah. It's a huge topic, isn't it?
It is. And I think even like, doing this podcast, as you say, like last year it was sort of protein, and also I'd say in the last sort of 12 to 18 months, it's been gut health. We had Professor Tim Spector and also Dr. Johnny Drain, and they were talking about fermentation.
Love fermentation.
Yeah,
it's great for gut bugs, but I don't think the public are quite there yet.
No, it's because I think it's felt like maybe a funky flavour. It's not.
It's like it's not in our culture, is it? And I feel like we need to get it. We need to learn from these other countries. Tim talks about the 4Ks, and I love that. And he's very kindly written a foreword for this book. And, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, kefir. I feel kefir is something that's a good switch for people.
Yeah, because it's not actually, it's slightly more sour than milk, but it's not, it's more like yogurt, isn't it? Really?
No, I mean, I've raised my kids on kefir because they're like in that niche percentage of the country that know what it is because of me. But, I'm a nutritionist and I struggle to eat sauerkraut. So you're not alone, everybody.
I got some in the fridge, 2 jars of it. And I kind of, every now and then when I remember, I'll take a forkful. And
well done.
My German heritage, I feel like, allows me to be able to eat some, but not, I'm still not really in love with it.
I mean, with that heritage, you should be all over that and the whole grains.
I should be eating more, shouldn't I? I think with that, I also feel because technology and science is so, it moves much more quickly than it used to. And I feel like there's danger of it feeling like a fad as opposed to actually, and you as a person, you're like, oh, right, I'm gonna need to eat more protein. Okay, now I need to eat more, ferments. Oh, now I need to eat more fibre. And I think it is that we do need government to I mean, they're still talking 5 a day, which actually other governments say, no, that's not enough.
You've raised such a valid point, and that's the fact that science is slower than media spreads. And the problem is one study comes out, the media jump on it, and there's headlines everywhere before it's had a decade's worth of proof or, body of research collected. And it's always, social media is now ahead of the scientific literature and advice. But what is interesting, and I was doing this when I was researching the book, is there's a lot more studies emerging now as well with the link between our DNA and longevity, because I feel like that's such a big discussion. And what you've just said about all those different areas of food, of course, they're all important. Protein is important. I'm not saying it's not. We do need more as we age, but it's so easily achievable for people. All you have to do is eat the beans and pulses. You get the fibre and the protein, and that's the message that's missing. But we know now that chromosomal damage and telomeres, the length of our DNA, can be elongated if we eat more fibre. We've got studies that show we can live another 5 years.
Wow.
Just purely on fibre intake and nourishing our gut bugs. So I feel like it's really scary, the invention of AI. But equally, because of this new research, AI's become helpful. So let me give an example. I was over in Paris with my colleague Abby last year, and we were looking at this new laboratory that Danone, the huge, massive company, is called the One Biome Lab. And they've got AI twins in there. And they look at different gut bugs, and they're able to do studies that could help with cancer prevention and diet on AI twins.
AI, as in like two human
identical
things.
like microbiomes and bodies, and using AI to manipulate and see outcomes we couldn't ethically perhaps test on humans. So it blows my mind how fast everything is moving. But we need to err caution, because the problem is scientists get so excited about their research that they wax lyrical about it. It then goes on TikTok, it then goes on Instagram. You see the debates, it gets clickbait. But actually, we're all unique. And we need time to figure things out.
And that, I think, is what the gut health discussions kind of made people realize is that everybody's microbiome is different.
Yeah.
So there isn't kind of one answer to everybody, but obviously, but if anybody increases their fibre intake, it's presumably not going to be damaging.
No, unless you have an IBD, so something like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's. Obviously, you need bespoke nutrition because you've got a gut disorder. Or if you're managing IBS, you probably want to introduce fibre slowly. I think the best message is the formula that I've got in my book is, 30 grams a day is a good target, 30 plants a week. Sounds overwhelming. As we know, it's not if you just cook a few more meals, add a few more herbs or spices, try a yellow tomato instead of a red one.
It's all count as a different plant?
Yeah, it's all a different point. Yeah. So,
that's good.
It's easier than you think. Just in your porridge bowl alone with nuts and berries, you can get 9 to 10 grams of fibre.
Wow.
And that's a third of the way to that day, I think lunch is where most people fall short with convenience meals on the go. And that's where we tend to fall short on the fibre gap. But also 30 chews a meal. And I think if you follow that formula, that will really, really help thinking of that magic 30 number in all those different ways, 1 meal at a time.
Yeah.
There is no point going, right, tomorrow I'm going to eat high fibre at breakfast, lunch, dinner. I mean, your gut bug's going to be like, whoa, all this food's coming at me. What am I doing? And you'll get bloating and all sorts of things.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, because I feel like I am one that suffers with bloating and maybe like a more sensitive gut. But so it is, you do need to kind of introduce it gradually. Yeah.
And you're not alone. And bloating's really, really common. There's a huge psychological element, stress. You've got to remember that our vagus nerve, so we've got a gut-brain axis that's constantly interacting, and there's the vagus nerve runs almost like an invisible line from your stomach up to your head. Yeah. And whenever you're nervous, you get butterflies, that sort of thing, and you draw blood flow away from your digestive area, so you're not actually breaking food down and it's going somewhere else. And we're constantly in a state of fight or flight in the UK. I mean, we're all working hard, long hours. Yeah. We're not looking at our food when we eat it. We're looking at screens and technology. And there's so many reasons why bloating occurs. High-waisted jeans, what a nightmare. You sit in those all day, you're restricting blood flow. So, and fibre intake, if you do it too quickly, you need a lot of water. It's all going to be drawn into your gut. And then for women, there's a whole other level if you're going through menstrual cycle, perimenopause, menopause, because estrogen receptors and hormones are lined in our gut as well. So that also has an impact. Gosh. So my advice is 1 meal at a time. Just pimp up your breakfast first, nail that for a week. The next week you start thinking, I might bring in my own lunch or try and do things a bit differently, follow what I've said in the book, or then move to dinner. Yeah. Step by step.
It is, I think you say, like about the convenience element, especially lunchtime. And I can sometimes think that we oversimplify our breakfasts as well. And that we will only have toast, we'll only have cereal. Whereas actually, like your overnight oats, there's no reason why you couldn't have that for lunch, surely. Because that's easy to make.
It's all, you do it the night before. And you can take it in for lunch. There's no set rule that savoury or sweet has to be for breakfast or dinner or your lunch, whatever you want to do. And what I'd also say is please don't forget diversity, because those 30 plants a week is so important. And that is just having oats counts or having barley counts or having whole grain pasta. They're all different points. Taking a fibre supplement, I'm seeing a lot of these trends emerging now. It doesn't give your gut bugs any different food. They're having the same type of fuel every single day, and you're not helping that garden flourish. You're not helping it do its job. So try and mix it up each day with something different that you can put on.
And actually 30 plants a week is easier than 5 a day, if you think about it.
Way easier.
It's 5 fewer.
Yeah, well, it was like adding, think of it, I mean, most people can probably get at least 15 in one day, easily, I'd say. So you can probably, if you like good food and you like different tastes and flavours, it's like having an apple one day, a pear the next day. All of that counts as different snacks. Nuts count as well.
And so each type of nut would be different?
Yeah. Each type of nut's a different point.
And then beans, if I was writing a recipe for like a 12 plant minestrone, and then I didn't even think about the fact that actually if I just swap out the single bean can for a mixed bean can,
you're adding in all those types.
Different types.
Yeah, it's a lovely message. I feel so grateful we've moved away from calorie counting and restriction, and we're now talking about plentiful, joyful nutrition.
Yeah, we do have people say, certainly nutritionists as well, is like, actually let's stop talking about taking something out. Let's just say, okay, if you're struggling with your diet, just add something in that's healthier.
It's a message that I feel like us health professionals have been saying for years, but now with gut health and science firmly cemented, we can actually say why, because of the research from the American Gut Project that came out saying 30 plants is almost like this magic number, not more, no less. It was around the 30 mark. And I feel like that's given us real ammo now to kind of go out there and say, come on, please listen to us.
Eat your 30.
Yeah, eat your 30 for your health.
You can presumably eat more is fine. That's not going to,
of course.
But if you can hit 30, if you go above 30, the improvement's not necessarily like a dramatic increase.
No,
then,
exactly. And I think that's what was so interesting in the research. And we have to remember that the more diversity it feeds our gut bugs, it also helps our immune system. So our immune system resides in our gut, and our gut bugs train our immune system. And you're going to have less inflammation. You're not going to get poorly as often if you can get colour and diversity in your diet. You know, that cold won't stick around for as long. It's those sorts of differences. And that's why people will live longer if they eat like this. But then it's almost like going back to the 1930s, 40s even. So even World War rationing times, we were eating more fibre than we are now.
That's mad, isn't it?
I mean, we didn't have access to so much, yet we were managing to get our 30 grams. Well, we were hitting 40 to 50 grams back then. So it's unbelievable that we can have so much around us, yet not hit that target.
But I think the pressures of life mean that you don't always pick the thing that's best for your body. And I think it is hard. I mean, I certainly do. I often don't eat breakfast because I don't always feel hungry in the morning. And then I forget to eat sort of lunchtime-ish, and then comes 2 p.m. and you're like really hungry,
and then it's
so
hard
you
to
make a bad
hit
decision.
And it's hard to hit your 30 grams in that small amount of time as well.
I just make such poor, because then I'm like, I'm starving. I'll eat the things I shouldn't eat. I'll go to the corner shop and I'll buy the meal deal or whatever.
I mean, in my nutrition clinic, this has been something that, you know, your scenario is far from being alone. So many people, it can go either way, and it spirals. I think intermittent fasting was a big trend as well. So lots of people were intentionally trying to do that too for many years. And we know now that wasn't helpful. But what's so interesting about what you've just said is the more you restrict, the more your brain goes into protective mode. And equally, you want the fastest source of energy you can possibly get when it's time to eat. So you actually crave those items of foods that give you fast releasing energy, which is often the more unhealthy items, the more ultra processed items than the whole foods themselves. And we are all so unique. Nutrition has to have an element of planning. And I know that takes away for so many people. It's really hard. But we have to remember in the 1960s and 70s, women went into the workforce, first of all, and they originally were at home cooking all the meals. And that's when convenience food came in. That's when the ultra-processed food market boomed, because suddenly everyone's working. There's no one at home cooking home-cooked meals anymore. And the industry has completely taken advantage of that. They want their products to sell, to be hyper-palatable. And when you're busy, like you said, it's hard. So the only answer, I think, is to meal prep at least once at the weekends or during the week when you can. Use your freezer, use your fridge.
And I like saying about the overnight oats, like normally on a Sunday night, I'll make a huge batch to last the week. And to be honest, I mean, some people might say, oh, that will go off. But actually, normally by Friday, it's still absolutely
You must
fine.
have a very good airtight container.
Yeah, do you have a, I do.
A good Tupperware is a good...
It's in a Tupperware, yeah. I mean, to be fair, by the Friday, it is looking sort of worse for wear, so I don't always eat it. But just give the rest to my partner.
Yeah, but that's so good that you're even prepping that. And that's something as well that you can then add different toppings to on the go, like a different piece of fruit or something.
And also you've got like oats in there, apple, the
cinnamon,
mixed berries, you can put your spices in, you
flax
can do like
seeds.
peanut butter, I do put flaxseed, chia seeds, mixed seeds.
Yeah.
You can, and like walnuts or something. You can put so much in there that it's not overwhelming. It feels like a lot, but actually...
And if you were in my clinic, I would actually say, do you know what? Take that with you and have it at 10 or 11 o'clock instead. And then you won't be overly hungry and you don't have that restrict cycle that suddenly kicks in when you realise you haven't eaten at 2 o'clock and you're starving. And then the snacking goes on later, because there's some research that snacking after 9 p.m. is not great for our gut bugs either.
Oh, okay.
That's from King's College with Professor Sarah Berry, and she speaks about the time windows that we eat. So we don't want to be fasting completely. There's no difference really yet with any research. But we do want to stop eating at a certain time before we go to bed, because there's certain strains that come out when we're asleep. One called Akkermansia, which is almost like a garbage truck, and it sweeps through and clears up all the bugs we don't need. And it's amazing. We're learning so much about our bodies. But the trap you've described is one many people will fall into.
And I've done it for years, so I should be able to teach myself, like, come on,
One step at a time. One step at a time.
So going back to the fibre formula, so you started writing it when you were doing
the unprocessed plate.
Yeah. And it's basically a kind of, I guess like a handbook almost in how to increase your fibre sensibly.
Yeah.
And I think what I love about it is it's not, you're obviously incredibly intelligent and you know loads about nutrition, but it doesn't come, when I'm reading it, it's not like, oh, you idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, it's so easy and understandable and yeah.
Honestly, I don't get it right all the time. You know, no one is perfect at all. And what I wanted to do in this book was have a Q&A style format, which I do in a lot of books, that makes it accessible. Like, oh, is there a link to fibre and skin health?
Yeah.
Is there a link to, can I eat too much fibre? Like questions like that, you know, does fibre help my heart health? How can I introduce it slowly? What are simple swaps? For instance, if you're going to snack and enjoy it, I go for popcorn over crisps because it's got twice the amount of fibre. And I love popcorn.
Yeah.
So
presumably not the caramel popcorn.
Do you know what? I love all the posh gourmet popcorn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know those bags
yes,
you've got like the dark chocolate coated with raspberry flakes or something. It's so good. But, you know, I've got 60 recipes in there. Things like frozen fruits melted in chocolate. I've made the most amazing fennel grape oat bars. Ooh. Like, I never thought to put fennel on a recipe before.
I guess it is a little bit sweet.
It's so delicious. I don't even like licorice, but I love the taste of fennel, and sprinkled on. And then I put grapes in instead of berries because they're more affordable. You know, I want things that everyone's going to have in their fridge that they're going to cook with. And I've tried to break it down. The formula helps. Your 30-30-30 formula, and meals in 30 minutes.
Right. And you also mentioned a minute ago about the fibre supplements. And I think people love a supplement because it feels like, it's a bit like when you've got a headache, it's like, oh, I can take paracetamol, it's gone. It's like, oh, I'll take a supplement, I'm fine. But are there any supplements that you do take or think are worth taking?
Let me give you a little 101 on supplements. Most commonly asked question for a nutritionist over a decade. But I completely understand. You can't fix a broken engine is the first analogy to use. So you wouldn't put petrol in a car where the engine isn't functioning. And a lot of people think I'll just take collagen, or I'll just take protein powder or something, or these new ones, NDA. And there's so many different supplements, NMM or whatever. There's so many new ones emerging, NAD+. You can't put them into a cell that isn't functioning well in the first place and expect it to do the job that it was meant to do. And I think the problem with supplements is that you just put the end product in expecting your body to just know what to do with it. It doesn't work that way. And that's a simple way of breaking it down. But there are some cases where we need to fill a gap. Vitamin D being the first most researched one, especially in the UK. Winter months, terrible here, awful. Take your vitamin D, we don't get enough sunlight. Omega-3, we currently don't have a recommendation for, which I found really interesting. And when I wrote The Science of Nutrition back in 2020, the only other countries I found guidelines for omega-3 were in Australia, which is so interesting. Yet we only say here, have one portion of fish a week, two, one of which is oily. I mean, how many people eat oily fish in this country? And
I feel like in Australia, they're quite good at eating seafood.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't in this country. So most people are probably not getting that. And I would recommend plant-based algae supplements instead of the fish. Perfect. So that's a good one, heart health and brain. The other ones, really only if you're pregnant, elderly, or needing calcium support. I think the majority of other supplements out there are probably massively overhyped, especially things like magnesium.
See, I have a little pill thing, so I remember to take things
every
day.
Little colours.
And I can't even close mine anymore because I just keep adding supplements.
Can I give you a little bit of, I don't want to be all fearmongery, but I am genuinely a bit concerned. So I just want to say, the more you take, you don't elongate your life with. Okay. It puts more strain on your body than you realise. Oh. I would have a good solid search through and just reduce them a little bit. You're better off having that apple a day than having the extra supplements. There's a lot right now. It's also like thinking of a bus with a multi, you know, who's going to get on the bus first and with a queue? Is it going to be vitamin A? Is it going to be vitamin B? Who's going to get on first and actually be synthesized and make it through your stomach acid and then actually get to the liver to be broken down? A lot of it's excreted, but it does put pressure on your body to do that job.
Gosh, I'll definitely be asking you in a minute.
Yeah, we'll have a chat.
Right, okay, we're going to move on to our next section, which is favourite dish. Ooh. So I'd love to know what your favourite dish of all time would be.
I wish I could give you something that was really Do you know what? Okay, I was going to say you just can't beat a roast dinner, but I'm going to say I love a miso apricot glazed aubergine, which is my bougie answer.
That sounds good.
And when Ciotto Mate first came to London, this restaurant like 10 years ago, that's where I used to go all the time. When I graduated from uni, that's where I wanted to go because they had this one dish and it's got like little puffed rice pieces around the top. Nice. That's really bougie, but it comes really close with the traditional family roast.
And I guess roast, I mean, how many plant points are you getting in that?
Loads, this is just it. And also, it does depend, obviously, how much saturated fat you put on your roast and how much salt.
Yeah.
Do you know how offended I was at Christmas? I made the most amazing roast and my dad comes in, he gets the table salt and like pours it on my roast. I'm like, you haven't even tried it. Don't assume there's not enough salt in my roast.
But that happens as you get, my grandfather, he used to put chili flakes on everything. He wouldn't taste it. And on a roast dinner, and you're like, what are you doing?
I know.
But he couldn't taste anything by then.
Well, at least chili flakes don't elevate your cholesterol levels.
Wow.
Kidney,
you're not
heart,
only
blood pressure.
Is he saying your food doesn't taste anything, but also you're like, hang on, I'm a nutritionist.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that in my house, but he does. So yeah, they're my close favourites. But my favourite part about the roast dinner is this Delia Smith recipe I've had since I was a child that my mum used to make. These like Parmesan parsnips.
Oh.
I'm obsessed. And now both my kids, 3 and 5, know how to make them.
So is that like roasted with Parmesan? Or?
Yeah, so you peel the parmesans, you pot boil them, and while they're still steaming hot, you dip them in a coating of flour, pinch of black pepper and parmesan, and then you coat it, put it on the tray of olive oil, and it's like the most amazing, delicious, crispy, cheesy coating.
Umami hit.
It's so good.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, we're going to move on to culinary confessions.
Okay.
So first one, what is the one dish that you make better than anyone else?
Crumble.
Oh.
That was quick.
Yeah, that was quick.
I have just been obsessed with crumbles. My first book, Renourish, I did a massive crumble in, and that was a shock to the system for me writing that book because I'd never had to write my recipes down before. I just had my clinic and I just would tell people, go away and make this. And I was like, oh. So I've had many years to dabble with the crumble.
Nice. And so is yours quite healthy?
Ginger and berry. Yeah, ginger and berries.
Ginger and berry in the fruity
Yeah,
bit.
in the fruit. I add I use it with maple syrup.
Nice.
And then on the coating, I always try and get some walnuts crushed up and different nuts as well. But I still love a traditional flour cluster, so I like mix it all together.
Yeah, great. Now, so maple syrup. I always, because you know how there was that sort of time where people were going, don't have sugar, just have maple syrup or honey or something.
It's all sugar,
and I'm like, isn't it all? I did read somewhere that like honey was 80% sugar or something and maple syrup was 70% sugar.
So that isn't about the sugar because they're all sugar. It's about the glucose fructose ratio.
Okay.
So in one molecule of white sugar,
you've
got 50% glucose, 50% fructose.
Okay.
Fructose goes to your liver.
Yeah.
Glucose goes around your bloodstream. That's like stores glycogen. It hits faster, basically.
Okay.
So when you're looking at honey, you've actually got 60% glucose and 40% fructose.
Okay.
And then you're looking at things like maple syrup around the same. The problem area is things like agave that are marketed as these healthy syrups, but actually they're 90% fructose. So it really hits your liver. And that's not great. So out of all the sugars, sugar is sugar. Maple's better for the environment. You're not, the bees we have a big issue with bee conservation. And I think that use Manuka honey for medicinal purposes as a treat and try and stick to maple if you're looking to help the planet.
Wow, now you've heard it.
There you go. Well, I did.
I didn't know that. Yeah. What is your biggest cooking disaster?
Burning the crumpets for my kids.
Every day.
Do you know my eldest? He's 5, and I buy these like rainbow bagels and avocado. It's just it's got into a habit. It's really bad. It's just like natural food dyes in the bread, And the problem is because they're coloured. Every time you put them in the toaster, they go a bit brown. He's like, "Mummy, you burnt my food again." I'm like, "I really haven't." It's just like
so they're no longer rainbow either.
No longer plum and rainbow, and they go all brown and dark. So I guess it's being time poor in the kitchen with. Children that are hungry. Yes, basically having kids turns me into a worse cook.
I feel like you have to cook things that they are going to want to eat, I guess, as well as trying to make them eat new things.
Yes, and basically, I'm really fortunate to have the knowledge I have because I don't think my kids are the normal kids. I'm really lucky. I'm not going to pretend that they've grown up with kefir and dark chocolate and really bougie foods. Like my son loves mussels and like sushi, which is not normal. But growing up in London. and being on the outskirts of London, you've got access to all these places that didn't exist for me when I grew up in the country. I mean, I didn't even know what Starbucks was. So, today I feel like there's so much more variety. But again, that is an ultimate privilege. My children are so privileged to have a mum that understands food. And what I want to do a lot this year is a lot of campaigning for children's nutrition, because parents don't have access to nutritional informational support.
That's so true. Yeah. And then also being able to get their kids to eat it.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If your personality were a flavour of ice cream, what would it be and why?
Like a sorbet thing, like a pomegranate sorbet.
Oh.
Does that even exist?
Well, it doesn't matter. You can create anything.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Pomegranate sorbet with some ginger.
Nice. How does it reflect who you are?
Well, it's ultimately extremely nutritious, full of those polyphenols, but the ginger's a bit spicy because I really passionately care about what I do and I want to make a difference.
It's a bit like, did you ever watch Blind Date? When they ask a question and you've suddenly got to twist it into some strange answer.
Love.
You're opening a themed restaurant based on your life. What is it called and what is your signature dish?
So I'm Disney obsessed.
Oh.
I used to be a professional singer.
Yes.
Back in the day. I won Classic FM's Musician of the Year when I was 17. Yeah, I'd had no training. I just always loved Disney, and I was a weirdo as a child. I would sit there and listen to songs from musical theatre, and everyone would be listening to Keen or whatever, and I would be sat there with my Disney princess. The Enchanted Kitchen, and it could be like Disney-themed foods and nutritious.
Love it. What would your signature dish be?
Fairy godmother cake. I don't know. A fairy godmother aubergine dish.
Oh, nice. I could sort of cut it in half and fold it, it'd be like wings or something.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, maybe.
Thanks. Make my kitchen for me.
What is the one misconception people have about you that you'd like to change?
That I am anti-joy with food, probably. I think people just think nutritionists are anti-sugar, anti-UPF, anti-everything. It's just not true. Food ultimately, you're not going to stick to something you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
I love convenience food. I mean, who doesn't love a bag?
Created to make us love it.
Exactly. Who doesn't love a bag of sweets? I've got the biggest addiction to Candy Kitten sweets, and they're like the posh variety. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a big misconception. Life is for living, and also that I don't acknowledge that there is a huge privilege. And with the Broken Plate report coming out last year, I am desperately trying to do something about this divide of education, but I'm just one small person in such a big pond. Yeah. We need everyone to care.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's the majority of people actually that need the help.
Yes.
But for some reason it doesn't happen.
No, and we live in on the online world. And in my clinic, I see people who choose to be there. It's very different to when you work in the NHS. It's very different because there's this phrase, the worried well, people that are already well enough are the ones buying these green powders every month. Whereas the people that really need the nutritional support are the ones that aren't in that bubble.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to quick fire questions now. Are you ready?
Oh.
40 seconds is the time to beat, by the way. Best kitchen tip you've ever been given?
Always wash your hands before you cook your food.
If you could only eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Dark chocolate.
That's not cuisine.
Asian food.
What ingredient is the biggest waste of money?
Processed cheese.
Worst thing you've ever eaten?
My dad's soup.
Your signature can't be bothered meal?
Pasta bake.
Favourite midnight snack?
Dark chocolate fruit.
What food should have its own national holiday?
Aubergine.
What's your go-to hangover food?
I've never been hungover like that with food.
What food did you hate as a kid but now love?
Dark chocolate.
If you could invent a new crisp flavour, what would it be?
Miso aubergine.
Name a fictional character you'd love to have dinner with.
Cinderella.
And final question, starter, main or dessert?
Main.
Oh, that was a firm...
Did I do it?
52 seconds.
Oh, it's because I stumbled on the dark chocolate Asian cuisine.
But under a minute is good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, under a minute is very good.
I don't know if I would want to meet Cinderella now, for dinner.
You'd have to have a whole table of Disney princesses, surely.
Basically, yeah.
Right, a final question for today, which is, what does good food mean to you?
Good food to me means joyful nourishment.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what would that mean? What would that is kind of being able to enjoy the things that...
It means that food that can offer you so many wonderful benefits, can really be tasty, and it's not bland. And I think that's the biggest misconception. You know, we eat food, we have to eat every day, so we might as well make it taste great. But there are ways of doing that and still making sure it's packed full of nutrition.
Lovely. Thank you. And thank you so much for coming in. I have learned so much. And I'm just about to go and grab my box of supplements.
Yeah, let's run through it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. For more recipes and inspiration, visit goodfood.com or download our app. Subscribers to the Good Food app via the App Store can listen to our podcast ad-free.